Good morning and welcome to Buddhism in Your Landfill, or Buddhism made Buddhism plain and simple. So, I am pumped up and ready to go this morning, and so is the nation. Since yesterday's Helsinki, where hell and sink came together. And yesterday's talk was about seeing that using quantum physics. Is an electron a wave or a particle, a thing or a wave? Which is it? Well, it's both. However, you can only see one or the other. So the title of today's talk, spinning off of yesterday's Helsinki and the repercussions of it that are rolling through the media in the land, how do we make Buddhism plain and simple out of that? Well, the title of this talk is, It's the Pattern, Stupid, going after Bill Clinton's famous, it's the economy, stupid. It's the pattern, stupid. Now, what does that mean? Well, in the context of our metaphor with quantum, it's the wave, stupid. Can you see the wave? Can you see the pattern? And then I talked about Marshall McLuhan, who said the medium is the message. The pattern is the message. The pattern is the medium. The pattern is the carrier wave that delivers the content. I've always thought of Fox News as a anxiety delivery system. It delivers the news, the content, on this pattern of dread and anxiety, or paranoia, or division, or whatever you want to call it. But it's an emotional platter. So the message, the meaning, is the emotion that's delivered. Well, let's get back to Helsinki. It's the pattern, stupid. So what's going on today is that there is an awakening. Now, I may be exaggerating. It may just be another much to do about nothing. All of our Trump life has been like, well, this is enough. This will turn the tide. This will turn it. Nobody can. This is the end. This is the turning point. The grab them by your pussy. Well, that's it. Or child kidnapping. Well, that's it. What? But is this going to be just another? Forget about it. We'll see. I don't know. But the point is that an awakening is seeing the wave. Awakening, Buddhist awakening, enlightenment, if you want to bring it down to everyday mind, if you want to bring it down just to you in your everyday mind, is insight, is aha. That's satori. Aha, I see. What do you see? You see the pattern. Before, all you saw was the thing. It's kind of like the green screen. I love this metaphor because we all understand it, and we all suspect it. Whenever you see somebody on TV and they've got the Grand Canyon behind them, you suspect it's a green screen. They're really standing in front of a green screen, and the Grand Canyon is projected behind them. Well, in political media, what's projected behind the foreground object is a narrative. So we project a narrative behind the news, the event. Something happens immediately. Fox and Friends and MSNBC or CNN or whatever will have the same event will have a different narrative, a different meaning. And there will be opposites. They will be two separate realities. Well, what's the one? The reality can't be two. What's the one? So we have to find a one. reality can't be ambiguous, or else you're schizophrenic or psychotic. You have to see one world. We have to understand that. When I look around this room, I don't, unless I look through my wall eye, I see two now, but I know there's only one room. But life is not a split screen of two separate contradictory realities. We'd go insane. We wouldn't know, we could not function. And yet we're presented with that psychologically. Left or right? What's real? Is that fake or is that fake? We choose one. We have to choose one, and we have to hold to it. So if you believe the narrative behind Trump is true, is reality, then you will hold to that for dear life, because it anchors you. It's your rock. I was just writing with a friend of mine, talked about Jesus is my rock. Well, the reality we choose is our rock, and we can't doubt it. You don't doubt that you're listening to me. I don't doubt that I'm talking to you. I don't doubt this room. I know I'm standing in this room. This room is real. I don't doubt it. Now, there's a lot of movies and such where suddenly you doubt the Matrix. You suddenly have the great doubt. Wait a minute. Am I in a dream? Am I real? Wait a minute. Pinch me. Pinch me. I mean, this is common. So what are we doubting? It's the narrative. Then when you see the Grand Canyon projected behind somebody, it has depth. You see birds flying. It looks real. It looks real. The appearance is real. It looks real. So the narrative that's projected behind the news feels real, if you choose that narrative to be the reality you want to live in. But today we're presented with two. So it's the pattern, stupid. So I like to watch Rachel Maddow. And when she's been tracking Trump and the investigation, and from the get-go, I remember her saying, don't look at what Trump says, look at what he does. Look at the pattern. Look at the pattern. Not what somebody says they're doing, but what are they doing? So if the pattern is discontinuous or disconnected from what they say they're doing, that's a clue that there is a narrative projected on the green screen. And you're being seduced into believing the narrative and not watching the pattern, you see. See my little guy here? Who am I? Am I just this object standing in front of you that tells you who I am? Or am I the pattern that I may not even see? You see, there's an objective and a subjective element here. If we're being conned by somebody, we have to see the pattern objectively. Oh, I know what your game is. I know what you're trying to do. I'm not going to fall for it, you see. I know what you're trying to do. I see the pattern. So no matter what they say, I see the pattern. But then the Buddhism, plain and simple, is seeing the pattern, your own pattern. So there's a subjective and objective, There's a subjective and objective awakening here. And usually we just are concerned with the objective awakening, seeing the other person's pattern so we don't get conned. Seeing the truth, because the message is the truth is the pattern, not what a person says. So when a person is authentic, that's when their pattern and what they say are one, not two. If the pattern differs from what they say, they're a hypocrite. And the Bible warned us against that, you see. They're disconnected. They're not authentic. So we long for an objective world or people or person who is what they say is what they do. What the particle and the wave are the same. But when they're connected, when they're disconnected, we are in illusion. And we know something is wrong. But what the story will tell you is that what's wrong is not the narrative, but Hillary. Just to play into the thing here. In other words, what's wrong, according to the narrative, is not the narrative, but somebody else. Obama did it. Or somebody did it, but not me, you see. Somebody's, there's a reason for your, in other words, if you suspect the narrative is false, that you're being seduced by a green screen, the narrative is going to point and recognizes the fact that you have this confusion or doubt, and it's going to tell you what the cause of your doubt is. Not me. It's wrong over there, you see. That's the cause. That's who you should be. That's who you have a problem with. Is not me. That's part of the narrative, you see. The narrative builds in someone to blame for the narrative. So what's going on today is that Mr. Trump, on a global, at the World Cup at Helsinki, the political World Cup, let's put it, it's so neat that the weekend had 2 World Cups. Mr. Trump goes to Europe in Helsinki, and the Belgians and the Croatians having a fight. It's believable how they came together. So you go to the World Cup in Helsinki, where Trump had just been defeating or playing with all the European teams, all of the NATO countries, and all of the countries in the EU are soccer teams. And Trump played them all. And he felt he defeated them. Or he was against them. And then he goes to play Putin. There's something hidden. There's a box. Where is Hillary's emails? What's in the box? What's in Hillary's email box? Now the question is, what's in Trump's box? What's he hiding? What's the cause of this pattern of capitulation to the Russians? And this capitulation, this Chamberlain event where Chamberlain comes back from seeing Hitler and says, peace in our time. Trump comes back from Putin and says, peace in our time. I have a piece of paper. Putin said we would have peace, so we're going to have peace in our time. What's the pattern, you see? Obviously, something's hidden. Something's missing. Why would the President of the United States throw the game? The ball was kicked to him. Here, Mr. Trump, I'll roll the soccer ball to you. All you have to do, Mr. Trump, is just kick it into that goal and get 1 point. That's all you had to do. And he wouldn't kick the ball. He did not kick the ball. And it was rolled to him. And he didn't kick it. Why? You see, the whole nation now is saying, why didn't you kick the ball? What are you hiding? And then you connect all the way back. What's the pattern? What's the pattern? It's the pattern, stupid. So is there an awakening going on now? Is there a Zen Satori? Aha, I see the pattern. Is that what's going on now? Point. At some point, there is a conscious shift where you stop seeing the narrative and you see what's real. You see the pattern, and the turning point comes when enough dots are connected on the pattern that there is a turning point, a shift in reality. We all have these personal experiences like this when you suddenly see that you've been off base, that you've been on the wrong track, that you believed something that wasn't true. You see, we all have these little mini awakenings when we see the pattern, when we can't deny the dots, when we can't deny our doubt, you know. So there comes a saturation point where there are so many dots that you cannot refuse to see them. And then, bam, you see. And suddenly, what used to be clear disappears like fog. It's gone. And now there's only one reality. You've been restored. There's only one America. There's only one ground. There's only one reality. And of course, we can disagree with that and argue about it, but the reference is now one reality instead of two. You get what I'm pointing at here? You see, we're in a spiritual crisis because there are two absolute realities presented to us, and we have to choose one or the other. So we're going to be left or right. But the reality on the right that has been personified and magnified by Trump because it's his personal reality, the one he sees, is that it is fundamentally different from what we are actually seeing. So that cannot be sustained. That cannot be sustained. At some point, the false reality will collapse. And a reminder, one thing, the false reality is maintained through the logic of false equivalence. False equivalence is not logical, let me say that. False equivalence says, my narrative is equal to your narrative. Therefore, there are two realities, and your one is false. So choose. You got to choose one or the other. but I'll make you feel good. You see, in other words, there's incentives to believe the narrative. Anyway, I've said enough for today. I hope you join me tonight in Martini time. And I try to carry a thread through here and connect these talks. I hope they just do that. I feel like that they're connecting almost on their own. There's like a force to connect them. So we're kind of like expanding understanding, while at the same time looking at the news in a fresh way. And looking at the news as Buddhism, plain and simple. Buddhism is awakening to the pattern. Not only objectively, but subjectively. So, please share on Facebook, and if you go to my YouTube, if you're on my YouTube, subscribe. And I'll see you at happy hour this evening.